And I'd like to welcome John Frankel with us today from the Third Board. And today, well, you got a few things to talk about.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be
Yeah,
here.
great to have you here. The first one you wanted to talk about was the Performing Arts Center. And tell us about this. I know that GRF is looking into remodeling parts of it and looking at different phases.
Well, the the Performing Arts Center has been an ongoing project now for several years. And we've looked at several alternatives, and we have hired a consultant who has prepared a detailed 131-page report, design development plan. And
is the report, I know, comprehensive, meaning it's not just looking at the interior, meaning the seating, the stage area, it's looking at the building as a whole?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And they have, in preparation for the report, they've called all of the players in, and they've all offered their opinions on the kinds of things that they would like to see, the kinds of improvements, a black box room and that sort of thing, improvements to the stage. The building itself has an inherent strength and doesn't have any code violations as far as seismic code, so it's in good shape. So the GRF was, M&C was scheduled last week to discuss and approve the second phase of this project. The first phase is a $1.6 million improvement, and it's going to talk about fire life safety, and it's going to talk about the required building improvements, and that $1.6 million has been approved and is budgeted. We haven't started the work yet. So the purpose of the GRF meeting last week, M&C, was to talk about the second phase. And the members of the GRF M&C proposed that we postpone that and let the PAC subcommittee evaluate that, and they're scheduled to meet this Friday. They want, because we really haven't done a detailed analysis. The second phase is 4.2 million. The first phase is 1.6 million. And so there's some questions about, well, which portion or all of that second phase do we want to do now? So we will be meeting this Friday, and any member is certainly interested, who's interested is certainly welcome to join the PAC ad hoc committee this Friday in the boardroom, and the PAC committee will take their recommendations back to the M&C committee, and a portion of that 4.2 or all of it or a portion of it will be then on the table for consideration by M&C.
Okay, very good. And next item you want to talk about are some benches.
Well, there's a fellow from who came to our landscape committee on the 7th of June and talked about a very popular walking area. It's called West Creek. I'm not really familiar with it because I don't live in Gate 11, but this West Creek area is in Gate 11 along the western perimeter, and apparently it's a very, very popular walking area. So he's proposing, gee whiz, let's put some benches out there. So the Third Landscape Committee is not the appropriate place, and so we then referred it back to M&C committee, the GRF M&C committee. And so they reviewed it last Wednesday, and there was a proposal for 4 benches to be placed. And then we started to discuss it, and we realized that, gee whiz, there's some access issues here. The benches in and of themselves are not terribly expensive. In fact, they're relatively inexpensive. But we need to address the access area. Access to the area. And so the GRF has referred that issue back to staff, and they will be coming back to us with some recommendations with regard to access, and we will then move forward with the proposal and discuss it.
Very good. Now moving on to Energy Committee and Landscape Committee.
The Energy Committee has been considering an energy task force, which would be comprehensive for all the mutuals, GRF and the two housing mutuals. And the issue was discussed also at the GRF board meeting this past week. It was on the 5th of June. And they are considering the issues. And so a draft version of something called the Village Energy Task Force Charter and Mission is now being reviewed and distributed by staff and being reviewed by staff and committee members, and we'll see just how that's going to work.
Okay.
It's complicated, and but we'll see what the best structure is. It appears that an optimum structure would include both the housing mutuals and GRF for some kind of a task force.
Okay, and moving on to the Landscape Committee.
We had a good meeting on the 6th of June. We had 9 residents in attendance in the boardroom. That's where the landscape, that's where most of the committees meet nowadays. And we discussed the West Creek area at that time and some requests for tree removals, which is one of the issues that's on the front page for the most part, most of the time. Staff had some positive reports with regard to recruitment and also landscape tickets, which they're managing to close a higher percentage of these days, and so things are going well.
Okay.
Recruitment is an issue because there's a shortage well, we have a shortage of supervisors and, of course, personnel. They reported what their focus is. The Landscape Committee reported to us what their focus is on slope maintenance. For example, as you enter Gate 9, there's a very barren slope there. And so their focus is on slope maintenance and also on fire mitigation. Well, fire mitigation is along the western perimeter. And also along El Toro Boulevard, west of Gate 7, we have fire ladder issues. That's an issue where there's acacia bushes, which are highly vulnerable to fire, where they happen to be adjacent to trees.
Okay.
So that fire ladder issue is something that has to be addressed.
Okay, and then you have some upcoming meetings.
That's correct. We got a very important third M&C meeting on the 2nd of July, and members are certainly welcome to attend. There'll be a report by the dry rot consultant. We hired a dry rot consultant who's done an analysis of 20 buildings here in the village for Third Mutual. Who these buildings were picked as a sample of the kinds of buildings we have.
Okay.
And the consultant is addressing the dry rot issues in these buildings and is preparing a solution for those buildings. And then we'll discuss that, and there's a hope that we can project the cost of those 20 buildings and those repairs throughout the entire Third Mutual. And therefore, we'll have an opportunity to have a good programming handle on the entire Third Mutual dry rot issue. We're spending about $1.5 million each year on dry rot as a part of the prior to paint program. We go in prior to paint and fix things, but it's as found.
Okay.
And we really do need to know what the overall programming costs are for dry rot.
Okay.
And so we can program the appropriate amount of money. And then tomorrow is our third board meeting, and members are certainly welcome to come and speak there. Each member will have 3 minutes to talk on any subject that they would like, as long as that subject is not on the agenda.
Okay. All right, very good.
And the agenda will include the usual things. We have 9 alteration standards that we're going to be considering. And also that's part of an overall updating of the alteration standards program, and also our committee reports: architecture, maintenance and construction, landscape, communications, and energy and technology.
All right, very good. I appreciate you coming on today
Thank you, Ken.
and giving us an update. So especially when it comes to the dry rot and you know that, and of course the slopes and all,
Thank you.
two ongoing big issues.
Thank you very much.
All right, good to see you, and we'll be right back.